I don't know what to say, man. We live in interesting times, right? We are watching a Department of Justice go before the Supreme Court seeking to strip the same absolute immunity that the prosecutor himself benefits from all past and future presidents without even being able to say the word immunity themselves. They can't even say the word. They describe it in a bunch of different ways if you watch all this stuff, but they're essentially attempting to neuter the presidency, all to get one man, to destroy Donald Trump. That's it. And they literally got laughed out of court. And I'm going to show you a clip, man, of Justice Gorsuch asking some very smart questions. And the government's response literally made the court laugh in their face.
System. We're not talking about applying criminal law to somebody who makes an announcement that this program will be good for the United States, and somebody could come along and say, well, you really did it to get reelected. Leaving aside whether any of that violates a criminal law, I know that the next question is assume that it does. I'm doubtful that it in fact does, because I don't think criminal laws generally operate on motives as opposed to objectives and purposes. But
all right, intentions. I mean, you can frame a motive as an intention, and intention is a motive, as you well know, every day of the week.
Yes.
So let's put that aside.
I understand. Well, putting that aside, that really, to me, falls in a very different category, and it is also possible.
So there's some motives or intents that are cognizable, and others that aren't. I mean, it's awkward, right? When we look back at like the injunction, back to Marbury in the early cases, you can't enjoin a president.
Yeah.
Also meant you couldn't hold him in contempt, right? A sitting president. For sure.
Justice Gorsuch, right? Can I try one more time?
Well, let me just spin this out just a second, okay. Right? And it didn't matter what the president's motives were. We're not going to look behind it.
Right.
And same thing in Nixon. We said, gosh, Nixon versus Fitzgerald, that's something courts shouldn't get engaged in because presidents have all manner of motives. And again, I'm not concerned about this case, but I am concerned about future uses of the criminal law to target political opponents based on accusations about their motives, whether it's re-election or who knows what corrupt means in 1512, right? We don't know what that means. Maybe we'll find out sometime soon. But the dangerousness of accusing your political opponent of having bad motives, and if that's enough to overcome your core powers or any other limits, reactions, thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that you're raising a very difficult question.
That's the idea, right? I mean,
that is the idea.
Testing the limits of both sides' arguments.
And I'm going to say something that I don't normally say, which is that's really not involved in this case. We don't have bad political motive in that sense.
I understand that. I appreciate that, but you also appreciate that we're writing a rule for the ages.
Yes, and I think I would start by looking at the statutes and then seeing what restrictions they do place on the president's conduct. And for example, the statute that prohibits fraud to defeat the lawful functions of the United States. The statute defines what the purpose is that the defendant has to have in mind. It has to be to defeat something that the United States is doing, and it has to be by deception. I don't think that that gets us into the realm of motive hunting in the area where we are as concerned, I think, as the court would be about doing something that would undermine the presidency and the executive branch.
He says, hold on, man. You're asking questions. They're just too difficult. And the state, essentially, they said, we're the DOJ. You can trust our motives. We're not targeting Donald Trump. We would never do that. And of course, the court literally laughed in this poor guy's face. And he goes on to basically say, don't worry about future presidents. We are only concerned with this president. And what the government wants, what they're asking for, they don't want motivations considered. They want some presidential powers protected, but other actual presidential powers not protected. And basically, they want it all decided on some kind of maybe scenario. Maybe this is important. Maybe it isn't important in a future scenario. But basically, nothing's important except for Donald Trump. All things are important if they pertain in any way to Donald Trump. And the government is basically trying to strip away the absolute immunity of one executive and one executive only. Not because he's a criminal, but because they are criminals. And that becomes more and more clear every single day, man. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.